This is why Denzel Washington lasts. It's not just his overall ability to deliver a part in an absolutely amazing way here, form or fashion here. It's his ability to critically think. And this is what we have almost by default lost nationally.
I think we as Americans better learn to unite. I think we as Americans need to put our elected officials' feet to the fire and demand that they work together, or they won't get back in office. You know, in this age we live in, this accelerated information age, we're getting further and further apart. We're not getting together, we're getting further and further and further apart. Everybody can't be right. But I think this is an opportunity, actually. You see how people are being energized and protesting and all that. But I think this is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves as a country and say, are we together, really? And are we holding our elected officials accountable to making sure that they're working together? Not just, hey, you're on your side, I win what I win, you win what you win. Because this is what is happening. This is what's happening. And God only knows where it's going. And Fences was a good movie, too.
Guys, I fully agree here. Like, where we are right now is so polarized that I'm not even sure we're actually going to have the ability to kind of come back to reality here. And I don't really think so, unfortunately. It seems like the United States of America is basically failing upwards. Because, yes, we are evolving. Yes, technology is getting absolutely amazing. It's spectacular, right? But socially, things are not getting better here. We are still kind of to the point right now where the overwhelming majority of America cannot even sit down in the same room, have a conversation without it turning into basically a screaming match, pretty much based off of the State of the Union. I think it pretty much perfectly describes the United States of America right now. Look at the State of the Union. You will see what I'm talking about here.
0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country.
Trump says something, his side basically stands up, claps, cheers, right? Multiple standing ovations versus the other side, evil looks, I don't want to be here, but I have to type of thing, right? And silent protests for the most part here. Trump says anything, they hate every single thing that he says. It is not really conducive to the country if we cannot, in fact, come to the middle and agree on things here, guys. Everyone needs to come back to the middle immediately.
Who you wound up supporting in the election? Presidential election.
None of your business.
None of my business?
None of your business.
Well, I'm only asking because the story was online, but that's okay.
Huh?
Let me ask you this. What issue do you hope President-elect Trump tackles? What's number one in your mind with the new administration?
I don't know. You know, I'd have to be more informed to just say off the top of my head the number one issue. I'm not sure. Education, jobs, health. I mean, there's so many. Yeah.
I want to just ask you, though, about the issue of race relations, because the film touches upon that. Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are. I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now. So it's up to us.
And there's been so many protests in America, especially during the election. Black Lives Matter movement, for example, and those issues. Has that movement in particular, the Black Lives Matter movement, helped race relations or not in America?
Well, listen, we live in America. And in America, we have the freedom to express ourselves. We shouldn't take that for granted. So whatever the movements are, whether you agree with them or don't, they have the right to express themselves. So that's one of the great things about being in this country, that you do have the right to protest.
You do have the right to protest. I definitely back generally your right to protest peacefully. But when things immediately kind of move away from the idea of peaceful protesting, it no longer is a protest. It's more like an unlawful assembly. And if we can go back specifically a couple of years back when there were basically nothing more than unlawful assemblies, obviously also spurred from the fact that COVID was happening and everyone was kind of, being told to lock down. This was also a two-pronged type of protest scenario, let's just say this year. But yes, I back every single word that he just said here. It's great here. Listen, it's amazing when someone doesn't know who you specifically immediately support here, right? I love that because it tells me that you are not living your life specifically in like a partisan manner. And I think that's pretty much more conducive than living your life completely 100% in a partisan manner. Because again, guys, listen, the only way to fix this country is for everyone to be able to talk to each other. And what's interesting is that from what I've noticed since being on YouTube here, when it comes to people on the right, they tend to be able to hear more of what people are saying on the left. They may be a little bit more vocal specifically, but the other way around, they don't want to hear anything that the right has to say at all under any circumstance. Instead, it just turns out to be some type of absolute, mass deletion type of thing that happens, guys, right? It seems to be something like, I need to permanently silence this person indefinitely because his words, his speech, his protest to my protest is detrimental to my feelings.
That Denzel Washington says black communities need strong family units to create change. But that didn't really matter to a lot of folks as the avalanche of insults have begun to rain down. Words and phrases people actually fought and died to erase from the lexicon are now lobbed by their ancestors whenever a black person dares to criticize or question the black community. It's really amazing that we fought so hard to be judged on the content of our character as individuals. There's no race in America where every single member must think the same way or face the wrath of fellow brothers and sisters. For anyone or any group of people, there must be some introspection and understanding of shortcomings to become better. We demand this of our nation. We demand this from the people that represent us. So it's not unreasonable to ask it of the person in the mirror, too. With me now to discuss, Amy Holmes. And Amy, I tell you, the message board, social media went crazy. They called Denzel Washington every racial epithet under the sun. And it's so sad because, again, you look at the history of these words and what they mean and the pain that was inflicted along with them. We thought they were gone, but they've resurfaced. And it's sad because a lot of times it's blacks leveling it at other blacks, particularly conservatives.
Right, and I'm sure that you've had this happen to you. I've had it happen to me. And I want to thank you for your really thoughtful words on this topic. Look, this is an emotionally charged issue, of course, and with the United States having a history of slavery, Jim Crow, racial oppression, discrimination at the hands of police officers and in the criminal justice system, of course, these are thorny issues. But I think that Mr. Washington was getting at something that we know that has been researched very thoroughly, that children, especially boys from single-parent households, have a far, far higher chance, and this is regardless of race or socioeconomic status, a far higher chance of going to jail than kids in two-parent homes.
You're right.
We know
it's
this.
Proven across color lines. If you graduate high school, if you wait until you're married till you have children, those kind of things are like the ultimate 1-2 punch. It's really unlikely you'll ever have to face any sort of jail time. So why the anger? Why the animosity that he put it out there? Is it because he put it out there for public consumption? Or is it just sort of a mindset that, hey, whenever you say things like that, you're giving fuel, you're giving, ammunition to people who may be racist or something like that?
I think that that's part of it, which is, don't let them have one more thing to use as a club against the black community. But what I would say is that we need to have a constructive conversation because we don't want young men going to prison at higher rates than other groups of people because of choices that are being made socially. And, there's a lot of reasons for that. But if we're really trying to improve the conditions and the life goals and accomplishments of members of the African American community, I think we need to be a little bit more open and critical and, as you say, a bit more introspective.
Listen, I've been on YouTube for a while now, okay? Yes, the words that are thrown at me in the comments are absolutely crazy consistently. And it's just like, bro, why? Listen, we are not, in fact, a monolith. No one is. I do agree with what this guy here said. We're not a monolith. No one is a monolith. No group specifically is a monolith at all here. Everything kind of goes down culture lines or class lines, more so than color of skin lines. Because I'm trying to see the difference between someone coming from like the super lower class, like white community and super lower class black community. Like socially, there's really not much of a difference here. You may perceive one, but there really is not much of a difference when you start getting up into like the upper class type of rooms here. There's not much of a difference. You're looked at identically. Okay. And so I think the more people that need to understand that it's not color, it's class, culture. That's what it is. That's purely what it is here. And definitely, the more fathers that are outside of the household, how are you expecting to raise men that will represent the community, let's say, or culture or skin tone, at least in a successful manner? How do you plan on doing that here? You're basically, I think I called him a couple of years ago when we encountered something like this before. I said emotional weapons. I think is what I called them. Right? Because that's what you're building here. If you are being raised as a man in a single mother household, then you're really only experiencing your mother, right? And your mother is generally not going to be super hyper logical and discipline oriented, similar to your father, right? So you're being raised to put your emotions first and your logic last because you don't really have a solid, light emotion, high logic individual in your household. You are a grown man and you need to enter into the world and act like a grown man, right? What's left here? You're an emotional weapon that will immediately kind of lose their mind at the smallest, irrelevant. Someone stepped on my shoe, so I have to go ahead and end their existence because they stepped on your shoe, bro. Who cares? It was an accident, probably, right? It was an accident. That person may be having a bad day. You're having a bad day. What are you doing, dudes? Why throw your life away over something absolutely irrelevant? And this is why, again, I call a good amount of men that are raised in single mother households emotional weapons. And then that same emotional weapon then gets into a relationship with someone. The relationship does not end well, let's say this year. Then the woman that married or got with that emotional weapon then goes on to say, all men are terrible. All men are bad because you keep dealing with the same type of men, right? Like the prerequisite should be, did this man that I'm dealing with have a strong male role model in his life? If he didn't, cautious. Okay? That's really what it comes down to, bro. All right. You want to stop all of it? Stop choosing wrong. Okay. Stop choosing government daddy over the father of the child. Listen, I understand the first thing people are going to say here. They're going to run right to the exception of someone putting their hands on you in the household. That's not the rule, guys. That's not every household. That's probably not even more than 50%. And again, if it's less than 50%, is it even the rule? No. Okay. So listen, guys. Stop choosing the government over the father of the child. All right. Definitely stop raising these emotional weapons because these are dangerous men. A lot of them. Not all of them. Obviously, there's some exceptions to the rule, but again, I don't really care about the exceptions. I care about the majority when I talk, because people are like, but what about this? Let's not talk whataboutisms and stick to the literal rule of things. Okay, an example would probably be, I don't know, one person on Earth was born without legs. We should now stop having leg holes in pants, guys. That's kind of my example of the exception versus the rule. All right, so Denzel Washington is correct here. I'm not sure that I've ever actually listened to him speak so deeply ever, right? But it definitely feels like he seems to be like the moral reason and dictates to me why he's so good at what he literally does here, guys. But listen, if you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.